My name is Dr. Anna Whitelock and I'm a reader in early modern history here in the department. I specifically teach on the Tudors and the Stuarts, and that's very much based on my own research interests. I've written two books on the Tudors, a biography of Mary Tudor, the first Queen of England, and a book that focused on the bedchamber and the court of Elizabeth I and explored questions of political intimacy and questions about the Queen's body and its importance. My new book is called Succession, and it is about the arrival of the Stuarts at court. James, of course, the sixth, coming down from Scotland to become James I of England. A really seminal transitional moment in British history, and one that's really been neglected. Many people, of course, love the Tudors, and the Stuarts somehow get left out. So my new research and new book will hopefully tell that story and open up the 17th century for many people who perhaps aren't as familiar with it. One course that I offer is called Tudor Queenship and focuses on the reigns of Mary Tudor and Elizabeth, and really re-examines them as queens. Up until this point, or up until relatively recently, they've been very much seen as polar opposites to one another. The sort of dark, barren reign of Mary Tudor and the bright, shining, sunlit reign of Elizabeth. And I often show students at the beginning of that particular course extracts from the Elizabeth film, the 1998 film, where Mary was played by Kathy Burke and Elizabeth was played by Cate Blanchett. And there's two scenes where Mary is shuffling around in the darkness and it's all very dimly lit, and the next scene is Cate Blanchett skipping around with the sun shining in her hair at Hatfield. And in a way, the juxtaposition of those two scenes and the representation of those two queens sums up how scholarship has traditionally considered Mary and Elizabeth. And so the Tudor Queenship course re-examines really both of the reigns and questions whether in fact Mary has had an unfairly bad press and Elizabeth has had an unfairly positive press, and we re-examine those two queens both in their own terms and in comparison to one another. Of course, during a period where so much changes, where England breaks with Rome, where the king now claims that he is imperial head, that he's head of both church and state. We have the accession of a boy king, Edward VI, and then for the first time, of course, a woman who wears the crown of England. And then, of course, an unmarried woman, Elizabeth, who follows Mary. And then on into the Stuarts, we have the challenge of founding a new dynasty as a King of Scotland arriving in England. And then, of course, his son Charles, who inherits the throne and ultimately, of course, is to lose his head at the end of the Civil War. And then we have a period where England is a republic, of course, for 11 years, where Cromwell becomes ultimately Lord Protector of the Commonwealth. And the course really explores how he tries to fill the void of kingship, how he tries to represent his authority, and explores whether in fact he ends up being a king in all but name. And then finally the course ends examining how the monarchy was restored and how it sought to win back its own clothes, if you like, and show that it had adapted, but at the same time focus on continuity, which many people wanted. So the course is very broad ranging in the sorts of material that we look at, and students are encouraged to find their own particular path through all the material, things that they're particularly interested in. And we work in small groups, and then ultimately students pick a topic and develop that as their final dissertation project.